Mitakepi, Trokale ampetuki chante hetan, Yuskia nape uchius wapelo, Lemiecha ikanchola tipi, ki el wahi, na mazashkanshkan wapre wanji, Lakota awogla kapi, na lako wichoch anki, hena u iwagla kinkta, yalo. Duecha tuktel anakupta na kapi ki, hena. Wopila tranka iprelo. My relatives, first of all, on this day, from my heart, I extend my handshake in a happy way. This is me. I have come to the radio station, and for 1 hour, the Lakota language and culture I will speak on. Those that are sitting somewhere and listening, I give you my words of thanks. Today is May 27th, 2026. This is the 25th episode. And we all like to welcome you to the program. And as usual, I want to jump right into the prayer portion of it, and then I'll continue on with the program. Trankashila wakwala makuyo, taku aglutrokcha awakihi, snihena omakiayo, taku aglutrokcha awakihi, and now wash agmakuo, na omakiaki, lena u woksape hecha wagluhakta yelo. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I always end with a hektakia akupo, or keep coming back. And this is a prayer that's used in settings like a self-help setting, treatment programs, and other gatherings where there's sobriety involved, or good energy. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. And today we have a special guest, and really honored to have our guest here. At this time, I'd like to turn the time over to Potential Chanumpa Oankaki, Shunka Wakanwichashaga. At this time, I'd like to introduce Orville Looking Horse.
Oh, yeah. Misha, I'm particular you watch the Ichijapilo. Yeah. Actually, I'm particular Lila, Baleonashipi, Lila Taku, Trokacha, Oche, Ota, Winyankapi. You can, Nachshi, Trokatekia, na, Wichon, Chake, and you can, okay, Lampetiki, and Ongla Kapikte, Iwagla Kinkte, Chake, Atona, Ikanchula, Naik, Umpiki, na, Wopla, Tranka, Nukin Chapilo. Chahe, Metakepi, en particulier, okay. Chinupa wanka na trawichok na chetaha chik ela na wagla kinkte na apetu na che nachchi na yukun chanupa uglu happy na taku heche ektaba heche omaka na lena heche Yashkiunki chapi, chake, yeah. Upoenki sam, hechi samia che lila, yeah. Wati okit kapi, ki, na, yashicha wakip kapi. Yeah. Lila, na, utekia, yeah. Echpo, onuni eta echpo yapi, yeah, che, na, yeah. Achik ala, na, iwagla kinkti, na, tona, na piki na etchiki na unshichake na wanakupta ichichapilo chake le ke chanupa meka kawichok aki na che dila utechika na kakish chapi, yeah, konkashla inja, wangla kupi chake. Yeah, and shetaha apetukule, wale na jipi, wiyushki, takueche, wiyushki, tranka, yanke, chake, teatala, tuktekte, che, na kapi, nash, apetukina, you can, wachante washte, chake, wale na jipi, wiyuksha, tranka, wiyapi, wichok anki naksia skionki chapi chake lila wale wena shipiki taku trokecha ele aphajeja wena shipi yaka lila utechika wiyakapi waza lila wayazaka ota akipapi unshia wayati unshia wichayuze chake hochaka nash kithapi wichetaha shkunki chapi chake chikala wagla kinkte nka lila ota Lakota wagla kapi wa mahitia eche worksape yake chake Lakota wagla kapi chanashna lila ota wikshanki mahitia chake wale jipi wupla echa. Like to say blessings and greetings to each and every one of you. And I am speaking Lakota, then trying to translate what I'm trying to say in English, because a lot of listeners today, they really don't understand, comprehend what we're speaking about, because the language, a lot of language, Lakota language, when we speak, it's really like a deep meaning of words. And today we still have our language, culture, tradition, and that chanupa. Everybody coming back to pick up their chanupa, and been working with a lot of people all over our Turtle Island, and so we are really came a long ways from the time I was young, living in green grass and growing up in green grass. My upgrowing was very difficult. And I like to say and speak about this because today we think living in this life, it's so different because we have lost the connection, and I speak about that a lot because the way things are going right now, and I do as a Chanupawanka and the keeper of the secret pipe. Now we still have our Chanupa, pipe ceremonies everywhere. And I talk about protection of our ceremonies, the abuse of ceremonies. So that's what I'd like to share today, because the things are really holding us, our people, down, and a lot of big sickness was kankintia. So I'd like to start by saying, take you back. And when I was young, I was raised in green grass by my grandma, grandfather, Thomas, and Lucy, my grandmother. We were raised by them, me and my older brother. His name is Stephen Looking Horse. And we grew up in green grass, and man, it was really beautiful, because living along Greengrass River, the elders back then, a lot of elders come from their reservations and talk. Now Woksape Ota Yuhapi. And they talk, and I sit and listen. For me, like my grandma said, no, you listen to everybody. Ija woglakapi, nayak unkte. You're going to listen. I think that's my first teaching, was being respectful and listening to everybody that comes from far away, Rosebud, Pine Ridge, or different places. They bring chanupa and offerings, and we go into ceremonies. So it was a very beautiful upbringing, because if you're being raised by grandparents, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very lovable compassion, no bad feelings, no bad like feelings or energy we talk about today. And to have that humble, being happy. And that's the way the grandmas, the elders are, they teach us. And speaking Lakota has a lot of meaning when you speak in Lakota. And it means so much. When you translate to English, it doesn't have the same meaning. Hokicha. And being raised by our grandma and grandpa, there was, I never really saw a drunk person, I guess, because people have a lot of respect for my grandma and grandpa. And until I got older, that's when I start seeing a drunk person and going to boarding school. I went to, like most of us living out in the country, go boarding school. We don't even know English. We speak Lakota, yes or no, like that. went to school. We learned about Dick and Jane and Spot. Those are like what we learned in school. So the English was really hard for me. I never like want to speak like that or grow up like that, but we did. I want to stay with my grandma, and my grandfather because they have that love and compassion. We live, we haul water, we haul wood, and we go different places along the different rivers that our people live, and going towards Gettysburg. I remember when I was there that they were talking, and my mom and dad, and they're building this road way up there. And they're saying they're going to make a big dam and flood this river. And they said they're going to travel on that highway, that road way up there. And I was standing there looking at it. It was so high. How can we travel through there? I was thinking that. And then later on, we did travel on that to go to Gettysburg. So those are things that I kind of grew up with, seeing the changes from dirt road, gravel road. Now today we've got pavement road. Speaking, going to ceremony, I saw what they explained to me about that chanupa, where it was brought. And the elders, they talked about the heart of everything that is Shante, Kahochuka, Chasapa, the heart. The Chasapa is the Black Hills. And I learned like the ceremonies point of view about the Black Hills, the heart. And I never thought when I was young that I would go to Rapid City, or people call it Devil's Tower, and we call it Matrotipila. So I just learned about our ways, speaking the language, and so much humor, laughter, Lakota Woglakapi, Wichiokpi. And we always have the traditional food that people bring. And I grew up, was young, the good medicine, understanding our 4 seasons. And my grandma, she would sit every morning along that wall. There's like lines. She would tell me that the sun moves and everything moves. Takushkashka. And not to fear the red day and the blue day. I'm happy. Apetuluta. Oh, I'm happy. because there's nothing to fear except a person that is not hewitko, like a person living out of balance. And my grandfather, he talked about a long time ago when I was born. I said, when I nitrumpita wayatik, wayat kampikte. That means when you're born, a good Indian can drink a good whiskey. And I thought about that. Naka itomani pikte. They call it itomani. So now today, like my brother Dana was reading that what the drug and alcohol program, the serenity or that prayer. And the elders explained to me about this Shankuluta, that everything in this world has a balance. And our ceremonies bring balance back to Uchimaka, the 4 seasons. And since the American Indian movement came to Greengrass in the early 70s, that's when people really found out that we still have that Chinoopa in our family. And the elders talked to me about that when I was young. That someday people would start picking up that Chinoopa. But like everything that is, there's going to be abuse. Because that's the balance that we live. The good, the bad. So the elders said there's no, like the way things are today, that people have to see things black and white to believe it. Ona hena u nka yachchi ona okay ona wale ha wena shipiki na wati ushunge ekbichapi. Now we live in a time and through boarding school that we have to see things black and white. Going to school. But I learned that, we're living in this world of everything's black and white and written. Where in our tradition, it was just going to ceremony, hugging each other, handshake, to that things are good. So being raised like that, I understand about this life. And they talk to me about, there's life here and there's life after death, to be with the relatives. And unshikapi and which it was the next shakapi. So our life is very difficult, dangerous today because what the elders talked about, the prophecy that we're going to be faced with when the white animals are being born too. And that's what I speak about today. As a bundle keeper, I never thought my whole life that I would see a white animal, a white buffalo calf, being born today. And because those are told in a ceremony when I was young. When Uchimaka is sick, has a fever, that's happening right now. Then the white animal, what Tratranka skakile, wana Tratranka sankile, makakan kinajikte, apetu trokacha uhina. Waya haki li la troka, taku trokacha wayanka pikte. Yeah. When there's only the white buffalo cap woman brought the chanupa to our people. It was at a place called Matrotipula, the Devil's Tower. And the stories that I grew up with about ceremonies and sacred sites. So my father, in the early 70s, he said, we're going to talk about this. And try to write things in a book about the star knowledge. Which Achbi Wakana, Nachchi, Unkelina, Luhapi, Happy. So being a young boy, I sat and because I'm a bundle keeper, I sat in the elders' council or the gatherings, and especially the American Indian movement that came to Greengrass as a central place of our 7 council fires, a central place for the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota people. Because that's where the bundle I take care of today. And a lot of things started from there. A lot of history that I grew up with. So in the early 70s the American Indian movement came. Now we had like treaty meetings and spiritual ceremonies, all the Wakayeska. Today they call them medicine men. But back then they call it Wakayeska. Sacred interpretation in ceremony, from ceremony. The Waka. In English, they call it synergy, where the energy comes together to do ceremonies. So these are things that we talk about. Growing up with our elders. And I carry that ceremonial life since I grew up. And the elders told me that when I became a bundle keeper, was after my grandmother died. Makashinake, ita chanupa wamblake. And after my grandmother died, And we had a ceremony right after to be the bundle keeper. And they put me through the ceremony for 4 days. During that time, these elders came together and talked to me about this ceremony. They told me not to use foul language. But stay at peace with yourself. You find peace with yourself. And you share that with the people. They too should find peace with themselves and find their spirit by going on the hill. And they told me that as a bundle keeper, I don't have to go Vision Quest or Ambalicha or Sundance and everything, all the ceremonies. Because I'm the bundle keeper, I have to make the spiritual decisions from here on. Anything that has to do with that Shanupa, that's my decision. Then they say that Shunka sa wayati na papapikte. Ash na yakung ash na ijat khabi. People are going to talk, but listen, because that's their decision. That's who they are. The center is at Chanupa. The center is where the altar, the sacred altar is. And Chanupa is the center of our nation. This sacred bundle is the center of our nation. A white buffalo calf woman brought that. And the teachings, the sacred teachings, stay in that ceremony. So that's the way they told me when I was 12 years old to speak the language, not to use foul language, and not to borrow anything. But everything will come to you spiritually. That when you borrow things, that's a sickness. And not to raise your hand under the United States flag. So the elders made it. They told me that they took care of it so I don't have to go military. And I never went to military. But I stayed in ceremony because this is sovereignty here. And we made a treaty with the U.S. government, with that Chanupa. And that's the way the treaty is. With that Chanupa in our hands, we stand on our 2 feet on the ground. But the spiritual, that going to ceremony, putting people on hill to find themselves who they are. You pray to everything that is. Everything has a spirit. Right now, I got people on the hill getting ready for Sundance. Every year, seems like the last few years, I've been putting about 30 people on the hill. And they're speaking the language. It's very beautiful, singing the songs. I grew up in ceremonies, and I see a lot of changes that happen being a bundle keeper, speaking the sacred language. And now today, I talk about the white buffalo prophecy. When I was young, they explained to me about leadership and about kinship, wotakie, and we have so many relatives, all the reservations in Canada. We're related to them. And the language, the Lakota, Nakota language, speaking the language is so different. Because today we have modern technology, we have modern everything, so, but the language is, it's hard because the things that we're living with, utilizing everything, they don't have it 100 years ago. And I told that to the people when we had at the protections of the ceremony meeting I hosted the cultural center here. Leta aku wema iwa kapi iwa na kapi na ninja ya wakakte trokicha na hechang tizi in wasa kapikte. I speak about the protection of ceremonies 2003 because I told them you can't have money on your mind when you're doing ceremonies. Money doesn't belong in the ceremonies here. But after the ceremony's over, if they want to give you gas money, it's okay. But it's after the ceremony, not before. You don't put price tags on nothing. So the elders talked to me about that when I was young. Apetu aji banike na upkhatrup bikte. Na pijuta na hija. Ta kule yihapina you can be upkhapikte. You can sell that water. You can sell medicine, sage, sweetgrass. And those are things that is going to make your itizi yazapi is like make your stomach turn. And those are things that I told the people 2003 is that we need to protect our ceremonies. Might be just a handful, but we got still, our ceremonies are strict, not to be abused. But all of you sitting here is going to be affected because you have adopted washichu into your families. These non-Indians cannot run our ceremonies here. And the elders spoke up, we listened, and we can make it happen like that. We're going to protect our ceremonies. And made a statement, then protecting ceremonies. And right now they adopted at the United Nations the protections of ceremonies that we made. And this is happening with our people because the life is, today is very different here. The challenges that we're faced with as a Ikshewishasha, a common person, the sickness is going to hold our people down. It's happening right now. Because our life is spiritual life here on this turtle island. The Songway came to this turtle island, and overseas, they sent the Bible there, black and white. And here it's spiritual. So it's, our ways are not in the books. Our ways is in your heart, mind, body, and spirit. So as young, at the age of 12 years old, I became bundle keeper. They talked about that sun, the stars, the moon that comes with our ceremonies. They talked about the turtle's back, our ceremonies, the calendar. So these are things that we still do today. So in the early 70s, when I talked about that, my dad, the elders talk about, we're going to go to Rosebud. We have a 4-day meeting there. And St. Ignace College was just now opening up. And they did all the recording. So there's a blue book that we made called Star Knowledge Book. Talks about the stars and talks about Uchimaka, the sacred sites. Then we talked about 1978, that's when they opened that. It's called the Freedom of Religion Act, 1978. But before that, no. When I was young, the elders said, now we're living our spiritual life here, but we still have to think about the future for our children. And that's where their mind is going to be. So we have to pray that our reservations can have schools, that our reservations can now have community colleges. So we did that.
15 minutes.
Okay. So I'd like to say that we see a lot of changes in our short time living on the reservation, Cheyenne River Reservation here. Then today we're gathering from green grass to greasy grass. We're going to go on this spiritual horseback ride and run. Today I do international peace work. And because our ways is about Lakota, it's about peace. Lakota, Dakota, Nakota means peace. And this bundle I take care of was at Little Bighorn 150 years ago. And we are getting ready. And I'll be talking to them and I'll be on that ride. We're still young. We still ride horseback. So that's our way, is to carry a message for our people, is through walking, running, or riding horseback. And that we'll do on this journey to Little Bighorn. There's so much history of our nation, our people. And this bundle I'll take care of was at Little Bighorn. And I grew up hearing from the elders what happened after Little Bighorn. They brought it back to Matrotipala. Then on the west side of the Matrotipala is some caves. That's where it was taken. Then from there, they took that bundle to Canada. So it was up in Canada for a while and then came back down. And they brought it back to Greengrass. So those are history that was told, and it's written too by a lot of historians. And we're inviting all of you, especially the young people, to help us make this journey a good journey. But I still want to really talk about Lakota peace, because that Chanumpa, it's about peace and unity. And I know that there's going to be a lot of other tribes besides the Cheyenne and the Arapaho that were at Little Bighorn. And I had a meeting with them. The first was like the past year, there's so many people that brought ashes of loved ones that made that sacred journey, their ashes to Bear Butte. And the state park said that, I know this goes against your guys' tradition, but how are you guys to, as spiritual people, how are you guys going to handle it? You need to talk about that. I know this journey is coming up and need to bring respect to the sacred sites. So I've been working with the state parks, and we're going to have a World Peace and Prayer Day there on June 20th, 21st. But 1996 on, we made a journey to Devil's Tower, and we did a ceremony there with all the tribes, local tribes, all the tribes, I guess. Then on the Turtle Island, they came here, and then Devil's Tower, and I told the people, we need to change Devil's Tower back to Matrotipala, because these are things that is hardship on our people today. And this journey that we're planning on, now we have a lot of meetings on it, but I'll be on that journey from point A to B, from Greengrass to Little Bighorn. I'll be there. But I've been in ceremonies with a lot of people throughout the whole year, and we're losing a lot of relatives to a lot of sickness. That's the prophecy of the white buffalo calf woman. That someday, when the white buffalo stands upon the earth, many white animals shall be born all over the world. And only through prayer that these changes would be made. Kahochaka tanga ichala ina taku ina yuthoka kechapikte that chunupa. We're not asking people to be a pipe here, but we're asking people to follow their own tradition, their own DNA, their own medicine to help us create a better world and peaceful way to help our future generations to come. And it's going to be a good year. I'm very happy. And I'm happy to speak today. Atona eche unsichake makak na chokoyapi na wachike na kula himoni pikti hechon uchela wani pikti. May peace be with each and every one of you out there. And our journeys will be successful. What should do? Metaki wasi.
Okay, we want to thank you, Orville, for coming in this morning or today. And we do have a few more minutes of our program, but we want to excuse Orville. I know he's a busy man, and we really appreciate having him here. And so with that, we just want to shake your hand and probably finish up the program. And today is the very nice day, and we did have a good visit, good presentation. And what I'll do is finish up the program. We are scheduled for a story time. So what we have is this is a story that we want to share with you, and this comes from the San Juan Pueblo in New Mexico, and it's a different tribe, but also it has a good message, and it's called The Husband's Promise. So there lived in a village of San Juan a young man, Chapin, and a maiden, a willow flower. These two were deeply in love, and on the day of their wedding, they promised each other that as long as they were alive, they would never part. The couple built a home on the edge of the village and lived happily together for 3 moons, until one day the lovely maiden became ill. The young husband did everything to help her get well, but instead she became worse, and in a short time, she was dead. The young husband was despondent. He could not understand why she had to go so soon, after she had promised that she would never leave him. When many moons had passed, however, he was learning to live with his grief. At night, he did not have much to do and would usually visit his parents. One night, as he was walking back across town to his own home, he noticed a light burning in the distance beyond the village. For several days, he saw the light burning at the same spot around midnight. It began to bother him. Even during the day as he worked, he would think about it. One night, he said to himself, "I must go to see this light and find out what it is." It took him about an hour to reach the place, and much to his surprise, he found a house there. Frightened but curious to know who lived in it, he decided to peep through the window. He was astounded to see his lovely wife. She was standing by the fireplace, combing her beautiful black hair, which came down to her knees. Capin said, "Aha, at last I have found her. The light was kept burning for me to see. Why didn't I come before? And I wonder where she is going, all dressed up." Now his wife finished combing her hair and was putting on her snow-white moccasins. "I must speak to her before she leaves," said Capin. Up the stairs he went, standing in the only entrance to the house. He saw her poised to ascend the ladder that led to the rooftop. "What are you doing here?" she said immediately. Before he could reply, she added, "You might as well come in." Capin slowly descended the stairs. He told her how he had seen the light for a number of nights and decided to investigate. "If I had known you had lived here, he said, I would have come sooner." "Well," said Wildflower, "you can't stay any longer. You must go." "I don't understand what are you thinking? Remember the promise we made when we got married, that we would never part. And now that I have found you, I will stay." Angrily, Willow Flower replied, "You can't stay here. You do not belong with me. And until your time comes, you cannot be with me. Go before it's too late." Capin insisted on staying, and this led to a long quarrel. At last, Wildflower said, "All right, you can stay for the night, provided that you are a man." "I am a man," retorted Capin. "In that case, you will stay with me until the morning, and if you are still here then, I will go home with you to the village. Do you agree?" "Yes, I agree," said Capin. Willow Flower prepared a bed on the floor, and they both went to sleep. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Capin was awakened by a pungent odor that stung his nostrils. It was coming from the body of his wife. Soon Capin could no longer tolerate the odor of rotten flesh. Slowly he got out of bed and put on his clothes. He said to himself, "If I leave before she wakes, I will be free." Very quietly he went up the stairs, and just as he reached the last step, Wildflower woke up and cried, "Come back, you coward! You have failed to keep your end of the bargain, and now you must pay the penalty." Capin was not yet ready to join the people of death, so he jumped off the rooftop and ran towards home with all his might. But Willow Flower was swift as the wind, and in no time she was out of the house running after him. As Capin came to the Rio Grande, he met the old medicine man from the village who was on his way to the mountains in search of game. The old man said, "What's wrong, my son? Are you rushing away from someone? You look as if something awful had happened to you." Capin could hardly talk, but he finally managed to gasp, "I'm running away from Willow Flower." "So you are," said the old medicine man. You've never learned to mind your own business, and now this has happened to you." "Old medicine man, you must help me. You are a powerful one. Send me where Willow Flower can't catch me." The old man said, "There's no place on earth that will hide you from Willow Flower. I will shoot you into the sky, which has plenty of room for you to run. Come, jump into the shaft of this special arrow." Capin did as he was told. "Capin, are you comfortable in there?" "Yes, old man." "Get ready. Now I'm going to shoot you into the sky where Willow Flower will never catch you." Twang went the old medicine man's bowstring, and off into the sky flew Capin. With Capin on his way, the old medicine man returned to his own trail. A few minutes later, he met Willow Flower. "Good morning, my child," said the medicine man. "Where are you going?" "I'm running after Capin. Where have you seen him?" "Yes, I talked to him near the river a few minutes ago." "You are a powerful one. Tell me where he is headed." "Capin is now in the sky. If you want to catch him, That's where you have to go. Please shoot me into the sky with your strong bow, said Willow Flower. So the old medicine man put her into one of his special arrows and shot her into the sky. To this day, Willow Flower is chasing Capin. Tonight, if the stars are out, just look to the west and you will see two bright stars about a foot apart. The first is Capin, and the one behind is Willow Flower, chasing her husband. So this is a story that I want to share, told by, in the early 1960s at the San Juan Pueblo, New Mexico. And that's just a story that I want to share with you and end the program with. It's called A Husband's Promise. So remember, husbands and wives, when you make that promise of marriage, and it's a lifelong promise. So keep that in mind. And tonight, if you look up into the stars, you might see those two. But with that, I'm going to finish the program. Tuehana lechi anakupta nakaki na wupila tranko keep hapalo lampetu kele. Danger la chuno pawaka kelechi hi na woglake cha wupila tranko unke apelo na heogna le wana lechi tiata wagni no astio kink te lo na heogna toha ke lechi wahina wagla kink tacha. Ampetu washte yuhapo oha mitakuye wayasi.